I'm a huge fan of South Korea, so much so that I've been twice a year for the last 3 years, but I will never forget how overwhelmed I was when I first arrived in South Korea all those years ago. So I thought that I would do a video detailing everything you need to know and also what you need to do within the first hour of landing in South Korea. Because we all know that being adequately prepared and doing everything right within the first hour of arriving can sometimes make or break the entire trip. It is my intention to have you navigating Seoul, South Korea like a seasoned pro by the end of this video, so be sure to watch all the way through. I'm Steve from the Fat Life Project, and without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? And let's start with putting together a pre-departure checklist, aka everything you need to take off before you even pack your bags. Starting with the arrival card, which used to look a little like this, but was completely abolished on the 31st of September 2025 and replaced with an e-arrival system. Completion and submission of the arrival card is free. Simply head to this website up to 3 days prior to your departure and complete the form to reduce the hassle of having to do so when arriving in South Korea. Do note, however, that registered residents of South Korea, including permanent residents, overseas Korean resident card holders, as well as valid K-ETA holders and airline crew members do not need to fill this in. If, however, you're still unsure if you need to fill in the arrival card, head to the e-arrival card navigator on the same website and do the test to know for sure. And that leads quite nicely into this next section on visa/K-ETA requirements. If you're a subscriber of mine, you're most probably from the US or Australia, in which case, good news, as of the writing of this video, we still do not need to apply for a K-ETA, as South Korea has extended the K-ETA exemption to the 31st of December 2026 for 22 specific countries, including the US, Canada, Japan, Germany, UK, and Australia. However, if you want to find out for sure if you need a K-ETA, head to the official K-ETA website and proceed with the application. A window pop-up will notify you once you've scanned in your passport details, notifying you that you do not actually need to apply for a K-ETA if you're from one of these 22 countries. And before we move on to the next section, this next one's kind of obvious, but do make sure that your passport has at least 6 months validity in it. The next thing on your pre-departure checklist is to make sure you have the following apps on your phone. First up is Maps for navigation. Yes, to be fair, Google Maps has improved a lot over the years that I've been traveling to South Korea, but you will still fail to find some places on Google Maps, and that's why I would recommend you download Naver or Kakao Maps instead. My personal preference is for Naver Maps, as I think it's a lot more user-friendly. To change Naver Maps to English, simply head to this toggle here, select the language, and you're done. I've talked about Naver Maps several times, and I've received some comments re issues logging into Naver. First of all, you don't need to log into Naver if you're just planning to use it for navigation. However, you will need to log in if you're planning to save location pins. And if you want to do so, simply log in by connecting your Line account. Please select the Line option when logging in. You'll be prompted to authorize the connection between Naver and Line, and that's pretty much it. Unlike a lot of the information that you see online, you absolutely do not need a Korean phone number to create a Naver account. And like most foreign countries, you will find street signs, menus, stall names, etc. in Korean language, especially if you're like me and like venturing a bit further away from the touristy areas, and so you will need translation assistance. Google Translate does work fairly well. However, I do find Papago's translation to be a lot more accurate, and Papago is incidentally also more helpful when you're trying to translate speech for conversations, like when you're trying to ask for directions. The chances of you doing some K-beauty shopping when you're in South Korea is also pretty high, but if you've ever been into an Olive Young, you would understand how easy it is to get overwhelmed by the sheer selection of beauty products that are available. Like, what should I get? What suits my skin concerns? What are some popular products that Koreans actually use? And that's why I always consult Hwahae before my Korea trips. In fact, if you're a subscriber, you would have heard me talk about this more than a few times. It is basically a database containing every single K-beauty product available. Each product is ranked based on the verified ratings of actual users of the products, and you can thus see the best rated products overall and also by product type, active ingredient, skin concerns, age groups, and more. It is also absolutely free to use, and back when I was first traveling to Korea, it was only available in app form and also only in Korean, but thankfully they have since upgraded into a website form and have also made it available in English language. If you didn't already know this, you are welcome. South Korea also has one of the world's best public transportation system, but you may on the occasion need to catch a cab, in which case I do not recommend hailing a cab. Instead, download Kakao Taxi. Yes, Uber does does work in South Korea, but I would just recommend downloading Kakao Taxi as well to compare prices. Of course, none of these apps would work without an active mobile data connection, and so I would recommend getting an eSIM and activating it on the day you fly out so that you have mobile data from the second you land in South Korea. There are several options, but to keep it simple, if you're after an unlimited data option, which is usually what I go for, I would recommend Olafly that offers a 45 AUD unlimited data package for 7 days. But if you don't think you're going to be using that much data, you may want to consider a capped mobile data option instead, in which case Allo does offer a 10GB option from 2850 AUD. Though from my personal experience, if you're staying for anything over 4 days, unlimited data is the way to go. But you might at this stage be saying, Steve, but my phone is not eSIM compatible. Not to worry, we're going to be covering your options in the following section. Come on, let's go. Right, you've arrived at the airport. Let's now talk specifically about the things you need to check off your list before you even leave the airport. And the first thing I'm going to talk about always surprises people, and that is the fact that credit cards are still not universally accepted in South Korea. You will need some cash, especially if you plan to head outside of the touristy areas in South Korea. And yes, you will find money exchanges at the arrival halls, but the exchange rates are generally pretty crap. Instead, what I usually do is I will load up my Wise account and then withdraw at the ATM machines located at the arrival halls using my Wise debit card. And I've done this several times as I find the exchange rate to be much better. And if your phone is not eSIM compatible, you will now need to sort out your mobile data. If your phone is not eSIM compatible but also not locked to your telco provider, you can just get a physical SIM card. I recommend booking ahead. This one on Klook gives you unlimited data for your entire trip and even throws in a free T-Money card, something that you'll need for public transport. More on that in a second. If your phone is, however, not eSIM compatible and also locked to your telco provider, your only option would be to get a pocket Wi-Fi like this one, which is also, by the way, a great option if you're traveling in a group, as you can also share data. I've placed the booking links for both options in my description box for your ease of reference. Once you've got your cash and your mobile data connection sorted out, you will now need to look into getting a travel card like the T-Money, as you will need this to ride all forms of public transportation in South Korea. But there are quite a few different options, so let me break it down for you. If you only plan to be in Seoul for your entire trip, look no further and get a Climate card, as that way you will be able to take unlimited public transportation for a set period of time, starting from 1 day all the way up to 30 days. And considering that Seoul subway fares start at 1,550 Korean won, you would already get your money's worth by catching the subway 4 times in a day, and that value, by the way, only increases the more days you purchase. However, if you do plan to venture outside of Seoul, like for example to Busan, the Climate card is not going to work there. You will instead need a T-Money card, which works on a pay-per-ride system. And so if your trip consists of some time in Seoul and then some time outside of Seoul, I would recommend combining both options to maximize your savings. You can pick up either or both at the convenience stores located at the arrival halls of the airports. I do also have a video breaking down the pros and cons and differences of both cards, and so if you do have any further questions, that is the video to watch. I'm going to try to link it here and also in my description box. And by the way, if you plan to cover a lot of tourist attraction spots in your visit to Seoul, you may want to consider getting a Discover Seoul Pass. Allow me to explain why. The Discover Seoul Pass is going to give you free access to over 70 plus attraction spots, discounted access to another 100 spots, and over 120 discount coupons for various other activities. The purchase of the pass, by the way, also includes your RX train rides to and from the airport. The places covered under this pass are extensive, including the Seoul Tower, Lotte World, etc., as you can see here, and if utilized properly, is going to save you a lot of money. I would recommend pre-purchasing the pass for pickup at the airport to avoid hassle upon arrival, and if you purchase it via Klook, you can use my code for another 10% off. The Klook purchase, by the way, also gives you an option to pick up a Climate card for free if you choose the mobile option. Pretty handy if you ask me. This next one's optional, but if you do arrive in Seoul with hours to go before your hotel check-in time, you may wish to consider having your luggage delivered to the hotel so that you can hit the ground running and just start exploring Seoul. And you can also, by the way, use the same service to have your luggage waiting at the airport on the day of your departure. Right, you've ticked off all your necessities. It's now time to head into the city. So let's now talk about the options. The cheapest and fastest way would be via the RX. You can ride it either by using your T-Money card or get it for cheaper via Klook. The ride would take around 50 to 90 minutes to Seoul Station. If you're, however, not staying close to Seoul Station, you may want to consider getting the Korea limousine bus instead. That's going to take you either directly to your hotel or somewhere quite close to it thanks to its multiple drop-off points. And if you're traveling with your family or in a large group, it might be more feasible for you to consider a private airport transfer. As always, I've placed all the booking links for the options above in my description box. I also wanted to quickly cover some things that you need to know whilst you're in Seoul, some of which you may not already know. Like for example, if you do run into a medical emergency, call 1330 instead of the normal emergency hotlines, as the 1330 number is designed for tourists and you'll be able to get in touch with an operator who speaks English. If you are using the T-Money card or the Climate card, you may also at some point need to top up your T-Money card or add a new package onto your Climate card, in which case head to these machines at the subway stations, which by the way only used to take cash until quite recently. You will now also find the option to top up using credit card. The next thing I want to talk about is etiquette. Please do not take calls, talk loudly, or eat while you're on public transportation. The only place where eating is allowed is when you're taking those bullet trains in between cities in South Korea. And when you're on those bullet trains and need to take a call, do head to the spaces in between the carriages to take the call. Do also remember to bow slightly, especially when you're talking to someone who's older, as that is seen as a sign of respect in South Korea. And above all else, remember to be patient when speaking to a local who doesn't speak English, especially when you're looking for assistance. Always remember that you're in someone else's country, so please show some respect. If you're looking for some ideas on what to do while you're in South Korea, you are going to find my South Korea travel PDF guide helpful. I'm going to include a download link for that in my description box. I also have plenty of South Korea content in my Korea playlist, which I'm also going to try to link here and in my description box. And I've also picked up two that I think you're going to find helpful, and I'm going to link those at the end of this video so that you can choose what to watch next. I do hope that you found value in today's video, and if you have, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all the good things that you know are going to appease those holy YouTube algorithm gods. But much more importantly, it's just going to make my day as a content creator. Specifically, if you do have a comment or feedback for me, do drop them in the comment section below, as I do love hearing from the people who take time to watch my videos. And if you got to this point of the video, thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope that you have a fantastic day ahead, or that you've already had a good day. I'm going to see you real soon in the next video. Ciao!